Hi, and welcome to this on-demand training on strategies for effective meeting minutes. We're so glad you're here. This on-demand training is brought to you by the Health Center Association of Nebraska, also known as HCAN. For more information on HCAN, please click on the link below. Well, let's get started. This brief on-demand training will talk a little bit about the importance of meeting minutes and what should be included in meeting minutes. So there's three areas to look at. Meeting minutes are important because, one, they offer legal protection. They actually represent actions of the staff and board. And remember, if it's not written down, it's not done. So they need just the right amount of documentation. If you have a situation that's really important or it's of critical importance and where the record is important, please make sure to take detailed minutes. Second, they provide structure. Meeting minutes need certain information. So please just take a couple minutes and reflect on your meeting minutes to see if you have some of the documentation that's stated here. And three, they drive action. Using meeting minutes is important to measure action, and they also provide accountability to ensure if there's any follow-up and then who will provide that follow-up. Remember, if items are tabled, minutes should reflect why items were not discussed and when it will be brought back to the board for discussion. So let's look at some components of effective minutes. One, effective meeting minutes should have an agenda item. And of course, these minutes should demonstrate all the items on the agenda that were discussed. And as we just discussed earlier in the previous slide, items not addressed must be reflected on the minutes. Number two, your meeting minutes should document discussion, and they should demonstrate engagement and discussion by the board and staff for all items on the agenda. They also have to be reflective of the active discussion and management decision-making. And this is really important for all the HRSA required board authority approvals. So let's use an example. Let's say that your health center would like to add a new service line or a new location. The active discussion that would be documented in the meeting minutes would demonstrate why there is a need for your new service line or location. Is the reason you're adding the new service line or location because of patient satisfaction? What are the barriers to adding a new service line and location? And finally, how would patients have access to that service line or location, and what would the cost be? These are just some examples of if you were to add a new service line or location, what active discussion would be included in your meeting minutes. So effective meeting minutes would also identify action that will be taken based on the documented discussion. And remember to use Robert's Rules of Order to ensure appropriate procedures for motions and approvals of action. For more information on Robert's Rules of Order, please see the resource slide at the end of this training. Meeting minutes would also demonstrate the responsible party, and that actually reflects the accountability for identified actions that will be taken. And finally, you would have a follow-up date for the action items. Here's an example of a template that some health centers use for meeting minutes. Remember, this is just an example. Perhaps you use something different. Regardless of what your health center used to document meeting minutes, please make sure that all the items are included in meeting minutes. Finally, here are some really great resources that will help get you on your way to have effective meeting minutes. Thanks for listening. If you have any more questions, please feel free to contact HCAN or myself.